going to be talking about government issued liens. You know, a lot of times students have questions, what kind of government liens stick? How do I find them? And so tonight we're going to kind of talk a little bit about why government liens are important and why we avoid them.
Yeah, one of the biggest risks for buying tax deeds or redemption deeds is government liens, or basically any kind of government lien. It could be something like a tax lien against the property, but it could also be something like, most commonly we run into liens against properties for things that need to be done, like cleanup work, or uh, uh, for grass cutting is a very common lien that we run into. They're actually very common with tax sale properties. And so one of the things that we need to do in order to make sure that we're covering ourselves is we need to know how to research and find those liens if they are attached to the property. We can figure out what kind of lien they are, how much they are for, so we can see if it's going to change the numbers on the deal enough that we need to basically move on to another property. So you never want to buy tax sale property without fully researching what liens might be attached to the property. We've seen liens, some liens are small and they don't affect the deal very much at all, but we've seen liens over $100,000, and so it can be anywhere in between. That's why you always want to go into it knowing exactly what the liens are and how much they're for.
Yeah, absolutely. So we covered this in full when we talk about stage 2 due diligence. So for any of our students that want to go through and review the entire steps, we'll have the replays that within the video library. But when it comes to judicial foreclosures, they're going to go through a court process. So a tax sale is going to be a judicial foreclosure that's going to notify all the parties that the property is going to be sold for back taxes. So if any of these contacted parties, whether that be a bank or any other type of mortgage or judgment that could be against the property, if they don't resolve the tax issue, then just like the homeowner, it's going to be sold for the back taxes, and the property itself is no longer going to be collateral for that bank note. And so when we're talking about tax sale investing, this is kind of the important process. Is it's going to eliminate those mortgages, but what it's not going to do is it's not going to eliminate other government issued liens in most cases. Now, we talked about how Pennsylvania will do that, and there's some states that don't, but generally speaking, those aren't going to be released through this judicial foreclosure. So it's very important that we research for those and at least know what we're bidding on when we're bidding on it.
Yeah, liens have different levels of priority or precedence that they take. We've talked before about how tax liens are a first position lien, and it's because they can take priority or precedence over any other type of lien. That's kind of the way a judicial foreclosure works as well. A judicial foreclosure has to have the power to take out and remove any liens or encumbrances that are attached to the property. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the ability to sell the property at tax sale because it would have so many things that were attached to it. This is kind of the last opportunity here that any of the parties with interest in the property have to pay off the delinquent amount and to avoid foreclosure, because once it completes that judicial foreclosure process, then like Steve was saying, the property is no longer collateral for the property. And so, yeah, we always want to be aware of any liens that exist against the property. It's possible we see IRS liens and state liens. Sure, we come across them on a regular basis, but they probably represent less than 10% of the liens that we actually see. 90% of the liens that we see are issued by local cities or counties or municipalities, and they're most commonly things like nuisance liens or utility liens or demolition liens. And all of these liens are liens we need to watch out for because they can be fairly large amounts. I mean, even just something like a grass cutting lien can start off as a $600 lien and then can go up in price at the longer it's delinquent or longer that it's owed, or something like a demolition lien. Anytime we see a property that has a driveway on it and there's no structure there, we're always concerned that there could be a demolition lien there. Was there a house here at one point that they had to tear down? And if they did, the fee for that, where's that fee for the tear down? Because that's oftentimes attached to the demolition lien.
Yeah, well, even something like a nuisance lien and grass cutting lien, there's some cities that I kind of think abuse, their right of going out there and cutting up the grass. I mean, do you really need to go out there 4 or 5 times a year? We've seen that happen within cities. And so each time they do that, let's say they charge $400. Well, you can see how that can suddenly add up if the property's been sitting, this building lot has been sitting vacant for the last 4 years or 5 years. And so that's really where it can be dangerous, where you're buying a property that you think you're getting a good deal on. You're picking up this lot for $1,000 and it's worth 12, 15 grand, just to come to find out that there's $15,000 in grass cutting liens. We've seen that happen. And so it's important that we know exactly what we're bidding on. Now, the good thing is that these records are now open to the public. The big difference from when me and Shade first got started with this is that most of these counties, most of these records are going to now be online through the county government websites. So in the past, we had to go down to the county courthouse. The first thing we saw was the tax collector records, then the assessor records, and now we've seen most of these online records or clerk court records now become available online, which gives us the opportunity to do most of the research from home.
Yeah, it's usually the department that handles the recording of the deeds, liens, and mortgages is usually the office that keeps the records as well. So what we're usually looking for is the county clerk or the county recorder in most cases. If we can pull up a property deed though and look at a property deed, so if we can see that the property sold in the past and we pull up a property deed, it's usually that same department that is that we get the deed through, that where we're going to look for other liens that could exist against the property. So that's usually going to be with the county clerk or the recorder. And what we're looking for specifically is when liens are issued against properties, they're not actually issued against the property itself, they're issued against property owners. And then details about the property might be included in the lien. And so what we need to do is we need to know the names of the owners that we need to do this, the searches for, and then we need to look for records that show up, liens, that may have or may be related to that property. So it's usually name searches that we're doing once we find the right record search tool.
Yeah, exactly. So like Shade said, the department that usually is handling it is going to be the clerk or the recorder. We can do a quick Google search and find, or an online search and find out what department that is. Usually it's going to be one of the first departments that come up using the keyword in the state. And then from there, we're going to be able to usually go to like the clerk's office in this case, or the recorder's office. Now, occasionally they may have the records together. So in this case, you can see at the very top there they have the court records, and those are for civil and criminal cases. And then down below they have them as the official records. So a lot of times they're going to be separated like this, but we have seen times where some counties may have those records combined. But in this case, we can see that this is the department that handles the deeds, the mortgages, the marriage licenses. That's going to include any type of judgment. So that's going to be the department that we're going to go to do any type of online search.
Now, once we pull up the record search tool, which is essentially what we need, we need a tool here that allows us to plug in a name and then pull up all the results that are associated with that name. And what we're essentially trying to do is manage the number of results that we get back. We're trying to make our job easier if possible. So if we pull up a large number of results, because some people own a lot of property or they have a lot of records there that are listed under their name. So if we ever run into that, we can also search by specific document type. So we could search under a name and under liens and just pull up those if we pull up too many results. And then we can just see, so maybe we have 500 results total, and then we do it to a name and a lien search alone, that might reduce the number to 15 or 20 liens. And then we can go through and look at those liens and figure out if any of those liens are attached to our property or the property in question.
Yeah, definitely. So when we're looking up a property there in the list, we're going to use the parcel number in the assessor's office. But when we're looking up for records, we're going to be using the owner's name, because any of those records are going to connect to the owner's name. So here in the example, you can put in the owner's name. Sometimes you can just add it all together. Sometimes you'll have to separate it in this case. But you can see that there's a total of 4 records. And so this view, we can go ahead and look and see what type of records there is. Well, we can't see any type of, we see traffic infraction, we see a probate guardianship, but the probate kind of gives us a little bit of information. This is probably somebody who passed away, and we can see something there from the circuit court, which is the foreclosure notice, but we don't see any government issued against this property. So we would be pretty comfortable in bidding on this property knowing that it doesn't have any government issued liens.
Yeah, and a lot of times lien searches are that simple. We can pull up, we can see the results that are there, and in the absence of the record is evidence in and of itself. But they look all different. So here is an example for Little Rock, Arkansas. This is their search tool, and under the name of Brian Bankhead, we did that search there, and it pulled up a total of 2 results. Well, we can see from the 2 results that we've got a warranty deed here, and then we have something listed as other type of lien. The other thing that's important for us to look at is to see who the reverse party is, or who is the party that's involved with this other lien, because that tells us whether or not it's a government issued lien or not. In this case, it's the housing and neighborhood programs for the city of Little Rock. So we know that that would be a government entity that would be issuing a lien that we would need to watch out for. So we would pull up that lien to see what we could learn about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in this case, we can see automatically underneath the type of work, it says demolition and related cost. You can see it was ordered under an emergency, and the total cost of it at that time was $8,671. Now, one thing that's good about looking up this information is we also have the contact information for the people that we need to contact to find out more about this lien. We can see the information down there at the bottom. We'll have a phone number there, an address, a person to talk to, a lien number. And why it's so important is that $8,600 can be $10,000 now. There may be interest that the city is charging. There may be a daily fee. And we can see this is back in 2022. So we're not going to just trust that that lien is that amount now. We're going to need to go ahead and give them a call and find out.
Also, if the lien was paid off, which sometimes liens do get paid off, that would show up as an additional record. So the fact that we just see these 2 records and this is it means that the lien probably hasn't been paid off. It probably is still valid and exists against the property. So it'd be a good idea to call into the housing and neighborhood programs and find out what the lien amount was if you're still interested in the property. If we're just looking at a basic building lot, though, just knowing that the lien exists might be enough for us to say, you know what, we're just going to pass on it and look to a different property.
Yeah, in fact, this is actually a lien that was on a property that we researched last year, and we went to the auction with our students, and our students saw these people bid on these properties and more properties like this, not realizing that there was a $10,000 or a $15,000 lien. There could have also been a bunch of grass cutting liens on the property, and so these are the mistakes that we see at live auctions and then also bidding at online auctions. And as long as we do our due diligence, we know what we're bidding on. Let's say it was only a $200 grass cutting lien. Well, in that case, maybe it could be worth bidding on. But when it's a $10,000, $8,000 lien, we're probably going to avoid that on a building lot that's maybe only worth 10 or 15 grand.
Yeah, which that is a big factor whenever we find a lien, is to figure out how much it changes the numbers of the deal and whether it's still worth it, looking into the property or not. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it just isn't. Sometimes there's just not enough profitability in there to make up for the lien amount.